For your hosting and domain needs, head over to HostGator where you could get plans starting as low as $3.95 a month. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below. Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So Comic-Con 2017 just wrapped up in San Diego. And wow, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to see. But the main things that I really look forward to during Comic-Con is the actual trailers that they have out, whether it would be for movies or TV shows. And this year, I wanted to talk about my top 5 favorite trailers out of Comic-Con 2017. And these are my top 5 favorites because they do 2 things for me. First and foremost, they actually make me want to watch whatever they are showing. That's the first thing. And then secondly, they look really fun. So let's go ahead and get into my top 5 favorite trailers of Comic-Con 2017. Okay, so the very first trailer that we have is actually one that was kind of unexpected, and that is Death Note for Netflix. Now, I know what you're thinking, why would I choose this trailer? Well, the main reason why is because, you know, like I said earlier, a trailer for me that's good is going to be one that makes me want to watch it. And this one was very mysterious. For people who watch the Death Note anime, they know the whole story. There's Light Yagami, there's L, the detective, and there's Ryuk, the actual Shinigami, which is the god of death. And so we already know the storyline, but what a lot of people are wondering is whether or not this retelling of Death Note, which is now set in Seattle instead of Japan, and obviously the characters look different except for Ryuk, whether or not it's going to really be any good. But in this case, the trailer did a great job in setting the atmosphere where we see here where Light Yagami, it looks like he's just not in a good place. Maybe he just recently got bullied. And then behind there, we see Ryuk, the Shinigami. And man, I love this type of look right here where you can tell what it is, but you can't tell. Okay? And the voice is amazing. Why? Because it's Willem Dafoe, the same guy who played Hobgoblin in the first Spider-Man. And the reason why I mentioned that is because when I listen to the way Ryuk, his voice sounds, it sounds a lot like the Hobgoblin that Willem Dafoe played back then. And here, it looks like he really did just get beat up. And here it's like Ryuk is showing him a scene out there that is disturbing. You know, we see this girl here, she's getting bullied by these 2 guys. And Ryuk is enticing Light to say, hey, you know, you could actually change this, you know, you could actually fix this problem. All you have to do is take this notebook. And we all know what that notebook is. And he's really like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then Ryuk is saying, look over there, you know, and it's even getting worse, as a matter of fact. And from here, he's like, all right, let me go and help this girl out. And so Ryuk gives him the notebook. Okay, and he's kind of like anxious about taking this notebook from this guy or this thing, and you know, he at first he thinks he's in a dream, but it's not a dream. And so he takes the book, and then he asks, I like this scene where he says, well, I don't have anything to write with, and it just so happens that Ryuk has a pen available for him to write on. And then he's asking him, like, what should I write? You know, Light is asking Ryuk what should write, and then Ryuk saying, just write what you think should happen to these 2 guys out there. And so he's like, no, you know, get a little bit more creative. So Ryuk is constantly enticing him to do worse to these people. And that's when you see him write something a little bit more sinister. I don't know what he was originally gonna write, something about a dog, but instead it's decapitation. Man. And the reason why this is so great at the end, and there's already been pictures of Ryuk, so that's really not what I'm interested in. The way the trailer does it is you are anticipating, and actually you want to see what happens to these 2 guys out there right after he wrote that. And as soon as he writes that, he looks outside, the Netflix logo comes out. And you're like, oh man, won't be out till August 25th. And that's why the Death Note trailer for me is my number 5 favorite trailer of Comic-Con. So moving on to my number 4 favorite trailer of Comic-Con is Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. Now, I really enjoyed the very first Kingsman. That was a pleasant surprise for me. Egerton did an amazing job. Colin Firth was on point. Too bad Samuel L. Jackson is not on there anymore. The villains were cool. It reminds me so much of Bond, but it's also a mishmash of Austin Powers as well, because there was a lot of humor in there, and the action was just superb. It's still going to be directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did the original one, and it's based upon the comic book, as you recall. And so in this case, the enemies, or enemy in this case, they actually do something pretty bad to the actual Kingsmen themselves, because in this case, the new villain, it looks like these are some chemicals being carried by drones. The new villain, or villainess in this case, is Julianne Moore. And she does some sinister stuff because she blows up all the other Kingsmen, including their headquarters from the first movie. And so when that happens, Egerton has nowhere else to go, and neither do the other Kingsmen. And guess what? They end up joining up with the Statesmen, which is the U.S. equivalent of the Kingsmen. And so now we have this collaboration or team up, and the head of the Statesmen is actually Jeff Bridges, the legend. And we saw there Channing Tatum is right there, and we also have Halle Berry in here. That's going to be cool. And the action just looks like it goes non-stop from this point, man. It just looks really cool. And guess who's back? Colin Firth. I don't know how he survived, but obviously he didn't recover from missing an eye from that the headshot wound from Samuel L. Jackson from the first movie. I can't remember his name. Great actor, really funny. He's back in this movie as well. And it looks like this is going to be nothing but a really fun team up between the Statesmen and the Kingsmen. I love how they show all the lasso scenes with this character right here. And also a lot of the gadgets that they have. Suitcase bombs, umbrellas that act as shields. Right there, that's also a gun. And more of Julianne Moore. I'm really curious to see what she does. And then more car chase scenes. That's Mark Strong, now I remember his name. And more action. I can't wait to see how Jeff Bridges plays into this, because Jeff Bridges, one of my favorite actors ever since Tron, the very first one. You know, I absolutely love that movie. Just more and more action. Man, it's going to be sweet. And I'm really hoping that Kingsman 2 will stay true to what Kingsman 1 was, where it's about a lot of cool action, cool gadgets, and humor. So with the whole U.S. Statesman element, I'm not sure how that's going to affect it, but I think it's only going to improve it. But I'm really curious to see what they do with this series, you know, whether or not it's going to be as successful as the first one. And who knows, we might actually get a third Kingsman as well. So that is my fourth favorite trailer of Comic-Con. So my number 3 favorite trailer is another Netflix production. It is Bright, man. And you know, when I first saw the teaser trailer about a year ago, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was sooner than that, we just saw a brief clip of Will Smith, which was surprising, and some other creatures, and I didn't know what was going on. And it was also a Netflix feature, so I was really surprised that they were able to get Will Smith in this. And everybody, I guess, who watches my channel knows how much I love Netflix, how much they've done for, you know, all this new creative content that they have, both from TV shows and even movies. But this is the biggest one that they've ever done. And I really didn't know what to expect, you know. And then when I was looking at it, when he stepped out his house and he sees this fairy, I'm thinking, what's going on, you know? And right away, you see the humor that Will Smith brings, his charisma. And I was already like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm on board just because Will Smith is in it. And from this point, it reminded me a lot of Independence Day. And a lot of people mention this, but Will Smith has not aged a single day. And so it looks so much like Independence Day, and even a little bit of Hancock. And then as it goes through, they show you this brand new world of orcs, of humans, and then of elves as well right here. And so I'm like, whoa, what is this? You know, and so it takes the whole lore of things that you would think of in Lord of the Rings and brings it to the modern age, along with Training Day. You know, David Ayer, he is actually the director of this, and he did write Training Day. He is the director of Suicide Squad, also director of Fury and End of Watch. So if you've ever seen any of those movies, this would be very familiar to you. However, it's very different because it's mixing all these fantasy elements. And this guy right here who plays the orc, Jacoby, is actually Joel Edgerton. And Joel Edgerton was in that movie Warriors with Tom Hardy. That was like an MMA type movie, two brothers. And that is really cool. I didn't recognize him at all, obviously, because of the makeup. But there's so much funny humor in here. And as you're going along, you still don't know what's going on. But then, whenever they find this girl, they find out that she has something that is very rare. And she has a wand, a magic wand, and she's known as a Bright. Bright are people who have, I guess, magical abilities, and they could use things such as these wands. And then as you go on, you see like this weird tree, and it just lights up, I think, right afterwards. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's Margaret Cho, I think. And there are other actors. It reminds me a lot of Training Day. And then as you're going on, you see another character right here jump out of this, and that's Naomi Rapace. She is from the Ridley Scott movie, the second Alien Covenant, and also Prometheus. She is the villain in this movie, and that looks pretty sweet right there. She's an elf, and the other girl's an elf as well. And this guy looks like a villain. He's an elf. And then the action just sets off. And so if you know who David Ayer, with the type of movies he makes, he's really about Los Angeles. And so a lot of his movies are set in that particular location. And so if you've seen any of these other movies, you would be very familiar with his type of style. And the style here, it also reminds me so much of Suicide Squad, because obviously he directed that, but mainly the color palette. The music on this is sweet. I mean, David Ayer, he loves to put music in this that is really hip, really current with the times, and it's perfect for this movie. And throughout the whole thing, you're like, wow, I just want to see this more and more. I mean, I didn't think much of it before this trailer, this full trailer, just from the teaser. But man, as you're looking through this looks action-packed. It looks brutal. And once again, it has all the humor that Will Smith brings. But it also makes you like curious, because of the fact that it has this whole fantasy element of it. And it's very stylistic. And the other final thing that I would say about this trailer that really caught me was the fact that it reminds me so much of Alien Nation, if any of you remember that TV show. And that was doing kind of what this did here. In that case, it brought aliens to our modern world. In this case, it's bringing these fantasy elements, fantasy creatures to our modern world, and how they have to live together in the real world. And that is a really cool take. And so Bright, very excited to see this, and this is very important for Netflix, because this is their biggest budgeted production yet. I think it was like $90 million to produce this. And so it does come out on December 22nd, and just the fact that Will Smith is on board, I'd watch it anyway. Now, my number 2 favorite trailer, this was really a hard one, but of course it had to be Justice League. Man, everybody's anticipating this, especially after how Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman just went bonkers, and that was a great movie. But the first trailer of Justice League, the very first teaser trailer, it was I don't know, I just saw elements that were great, but at the same time, it looked cheesy as well because of all the CG. Now, in this case, it opens off, as you see, with Commissioner Gordon with the Batman signal, but then Cyborg, and then right into it, we get Wonder Woman. And of course, Wonder Woman would be headlining this trailer because of the success that the Wonder Woman movie did. And as you open up, you see these characters or villains. You don't see their faces, but they basically shoot up a bank. And yep, Wonder Woman is right there. And man, she just shows how much of a badass she is. So that's very reminiscent of the first Wonder Woman, her fighting style. And it opens up with a lot of humor because her assistant or whatever is asking her what she did, and she goes nothing much when she just defeated all those guys in the actual heist that they were having. And here it goes back to the previous movie of Batman vs Superman, when Superman just died, and people are just like, wow, is hope all gone? And in this case, Batman looks like he's been missing too. And man, Ben Affleck as the Dark Knight just looks sweet. I love that suit. And so as we're going on, we see Wonder Woman talking with Batman in this case. And then we go back to Themyscira. And that Themyscira was one of my favorite things out of Wonder Woman. But in this case, we go back for a different reason. We go back because of this right here. And that's Wonder Woman's mom. Because somebody is actually coming to visit. And that somebody is Steppenwolf. Man, Steppenwolf is all CG. And if you know the comics, Steppenwolf is actually basically the right hand man of Darkseid before Darkseid appears, and so he is a pretty powerful character. I don't know all his powers, but he's pretty lethal. And here we have Aquaman. Man, Momoa, he's gonna bring a whole new level of awesomeness. I never really thought Aquaman was a cool character, but man, after seeing how they've shown him here in the Justice League, he's gonna be one of my top characters. And I also like how they're showing more of Cyborg. You know, they've cleaned up more of his CG. That's one thing that I didn't like about the very first teaser trailer for Justice League. And this is a pretty long trailer. It's about 4 minutes. And here, I think Ben Affleck or Batman is looking at Superman, I guess, a hologram. You know, Batman is an extremely intelligent person, so he does a lot of detective work. And this scene's really cool. We see Flash right here, and he just breaks through this glass with just his finger. That is so awesome. And then here, we see kind of like what Steppenwolf is capable of. You know, this is a powerful guy, and he brings down his axe or hammer and just destroys whatever it touches. And so this is going to be a very formidable foe. And wow, and this is obviously this is Bruce Wayne's. I can't even remember his actual name at this point, but basically his helper. And it's gonna be pretty sweet. Or man, and they had a little joke about the Penguin that was funny. I'm sorry, it's Alfred, and this is Iron. I think that's his name, Iron. I can't remember his name, but he is a very talented actor. He's been around a long time. I know it's not Michael Ironside, but he plays Alfred in this movie, just like he did in the previous movie. And there's Steppenwolf and all the, I think it's the Palomores, if I remember. I can't remember all their names. And I don't know much about the DC universe, to be honest with you. So we keep going, and more action. There's all of them suited up. There's the Flash. I'm not really digging the Flash's suit, and I don't really dig Cyborgs as well. I actually like the Flash in the TV show, the CW, more than I do Ezra Miller here with this suit. So he is like more like a comic relief, and the actual character, Steve Barry, I can't remember his name, maybe that's correct, but he is a very funny character as well. And so that's great that they incorporated that into the movie character. And here, Cyborg itself, he's actually integrating with Batman's Batwing. And it's funny where he tells Alfred that, hey, I got this. And Alfred's like, who are you? So a lot of comic elements in here. And there's Steppenwolf coming down again. And there is the Flash. And there's Batman fighting some evil characters. More Aquaman. And Aquaman, there's this scene right here where he's just destroying, right here. It's just on top of one of these enemies, and he just uses him as a surfboard, pretty much smashing through building. And man, that was so sweet. I'm really gonna dig Aquaman in this movie. And he goes more by his Arthur Curry, and so I don't think they're going to call him Aquaman. They're going to go by that. And this scene was pretty funny while they're all up here on the rooftop talking to Commissioner Gordon. And then as soon as Flash turns around, they're all gone, which is customary for all these comic book characters to disappear. And he's like, oh, that's kind of rude. And so he disappears as well. And that was funny. So I'm really digging the fact that they're going to add more comedy to it instead of it just being dark, dark, dark. And then the final scene is you see this very Jurassic Park-like scene where this cup is actually shaking, and Alfred is actually waiting for someone, and that someone, more than likely, he's saying it's, hopefully you're here in time. More than likely, that is Superman. Okay, that's probably who it is. And so, man, this Justice League trailer, it just makes me want to see it more. I'm glad that they focused more on the characters. They cleaned up a lot of the CG, although I think it's a lot of CG. There's so much CG in here. But Josh Whedon is on board now because Zack Snyder, he had some personal things that I had to take care of. And so I think it's in really great hands. And if you remember, Josh Whedon did the Avengers. And so it's in really good hands. And so I'm really digging this. I can't wait till it comes out. Hopefully it's not just all action. Hopefully they do present some of the elements that Wonder Woman did, where they added a lot of character development as well, where you actually care about the characters, you care about what's going on. So that's my number 2 favorite, Justice League. Now, my number one favorite trailer of Comic-Con was one that I did not expect. I mean, after seeing the Justice League trailer, I was like, what? You know what? There's no other trailer that's going to be better than this. And then Thor Ragnarok dropped, and I was like, whoa. I mean, right when this opens with all this color and the music, I'm like, oh, man, this is the 80s. I'm a child of the 80s, and so I was like immediately caught by it. And here Thor is, he's in the arena, and he's talking about what happened just previously where Hela, the death goddess, just like destroys his hammer, you know, with just crushing it. And that was absolutely awesome. And then here, he's like telling Hulk that kind of like the day he had. And right off the bat, man, it's funny. There's humor in it right away. And Thor, you know, he has a lot of that type of that humor, you know. It's like a smart-ass type of humor. And here we see that scene from the last trailer where Thor and Hulk is fighting, and this is based upon the Planet Hulk comic book. Okay, so where Hulk is being controlled by this disc, and he's actually a gladiator for I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who's playing him is actually Jeff Goldblum. And here we see the logo turn green. Yes, the Grandmaster. That's it. The Grandmaster is an elder, I think, and he was actually the brother of the Collector. The Collector's from Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's sweet, man. It's like all 80s, and you're like thinking, whoa, who's that? Well, it's Bruce Banner, of course, the Hulk. And more 80s elements. This art style, this was really popular in the 80s. I don't even remember who the artist is. And so the actual director of this, was it Till Watiti? He's actually from New Zealand. And man, this is so much style. And then when you see Hela, yes, she looks so awesome right there, man. That's just crazy looking. And Cate Blanchett is the one who plays her. And then you see in the background, that's Carl Urban, who plays the Executioner. And here, she just destroyed everybody in Asgard. She is extremely powerful. And the look of this film, man, it is crazy looking. Look at this. Oh, man. So she's taken on all of Asgard by herself. I think that is Valkyrie, who's actually on that horse. On that flying horse. Yeah, there it is. It's Valkyrie on this Pegasus. I think that is Valkyrie. Man, and that just looks amazing. So here's Bruce Banner talking with Thor and like kind of recounting what happened. And it's so funny. More humor. Thor is telling him that he won the fight pretty easily. And Bruce Banner's like, oh, that doesn't sound right. So a lot of humor. Great chemistry here. And so I'm digging that part. And just to look, I cannot talk enough about the look of this. Look at this scene right here. Look at that. Oh, man. That is... Oh, man. That I don't know. I don't have the words to express how awesome that looks. Oh, geez. That's epic. And this stuff reminds me so much of the movies in the 80s, especially the fantasy movies. When I saw this, when I heard the music, I'm thinking of stuff like Flash Gordon. You know, thinking of stuff like Legend, you know, with Tom Cruise, you know, because of the music and stuff and the look. I'm thinking of The Never Ending Story. Man, all my favorite 80s movies, all the fantasy ones, Dark Crystal. This, like, makes me remember those so much. And I do definitely want to say it reminds me more of Flash Gordon than anything else. And, you know, some people didn't like that movie, but I love Flash Gordon. And this reminds me so much of it more than anything else because of all the colors, because of the way they have the scene shot. And, man, this is going to be sweet. Look at this. She is a master of swords, among many other things. Extremely powerful. I mean, she took out Asgard by herself. And there's Valkyrie, man. I can't remember her name, but she was in the movie Creed. She's gonna be sweet, and we see more of Hulk. Check it out, new haircut. Man, that looks awesome. And guess who's back? Loki. Oh yeah. So Loki is back here. They are gonna join Thor, Valkyrie, and the Hulk in taking down Hela, and that's a cool scene. This kind of reminds me of Star Wars in a way. That's gonna be pretty funny. And then Hulk is battling some creatures right here. Check that out. That big wolf. Oh man, that's gonna be epic. And we get to see more of by having just these two main characters, you get to really see more of what these characters can do, who their personalities are. And I think that's Korg. He was in Planet Hulk. And so these were all part of the creatures that were captured by the Grand Master to fight in this Coliseum. And action, action, action. So much color. And here, this last scene. Oh, and this is Idris Elba right here. He was from the first Thor and the second Thor, as you remember. He was the guard of the gates of Asgard, so that's going to be sweet. And then we see him fighting Hela, and this is a cool scene as well. And Hela's just saying she is a goddess of death, and as you know, the goddess of death will play a big part in the Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War, because Thanos falls in love with death, or the personification of death. And more battle scenes, and this part's cool with all the swords that Hela just spins out, and with her cloak it makes her extremely powerful. And then in this last scene, Hela's like, what are you the god of, and then Thor comes down, bam, I'm the god of thunder and lightning. And man, that just looks sweet. Of course you can tell that's CG, but it just looks sweet. It reminds me so much of Raiden from Mortal Kombat. That's, oh man, great way to end it. And as soon as you think the trailer's over, of course there's a post-scene trailer. And here, it's so funny. I did not expect. Thor is actually talking to Hulk, a really funny conversation, but Hulk is actually talking, and man, that was a great scene. And just when you think it's over, it's still not over. Marvel gives you one more bit of awesomeness, and that is this last scene right here, where Hulk is fighting or jumping into battle. I can't remember his name, Cerebus or something like that. He is one of the basically the owners or the leader of one of the realms of the 9 worlds. And wow, yeah, Thor Ragnarok. I did enjoy the first Thor. I didn't watch the second one, the Dark World one, but this one just looks so sweet. It looks like a combination of the Avengers and a Thor movie and a Hulk movie all at the same time. Plus, most importantly, the reason why I selected it as my favorite, because it looks like the most fun. And my favorite movie out of the Marvel Universe is still going to be the Avengers. But my second favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy and Logan. Those were tied for my number 2. And this reminds me so much of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm so happy they're moving into the Marvel Cosmic Universe, because I'm so tired of them just doing everything on Earth. And so that's why I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much, because they were doing stuff outside of Earth. And in this case, they look like they're going to continue that tradition. And man, if the trailer even comes close to the visual spectacle that this has, the humor, and just looks like overall just fun of this movie, then I'm on board. So that is my favorite trailer for Comic-Con 2017. It's also my other top 4 trailers. They were all amazing to me, but this one takes the cake. And so what are your thoughts of Comic-Con 2017, whether it be trailers for movies or TV shows? And what did you think of JLA versus Thor Ragnarok? I mean, do you agree that this one is the best, or do you think Justice League is the best? Or maybe you thought something else was better, such as the Ready One trailer, or such as any of the TV show trailers. The Walking Dead was on there. Also, Game of Thrones is on there as well. So leave it in the comments area below. And if you did get value out of these videos, leave a like and subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.